autonomy, the flexibility goes with freelancing, because I see all over lately people asking the question or talking about, well, if you go freelance, great, you get to charge these rates, but you're missing out on PTO, on paid vacations. You only make money when you work. And while that is very much true, I want to do a little bit of math with you guys. So let's pull up a calculator. Yes, I have to use a calculator. My dad was a math teacher, but I am horrible at math. Okay, if you go into the Freelance Paralegals USA directory, right now, we're seeing paralegals charging the $50 per hour. We're seeing some in the 70. We're seeing a lot in the hundreds. But let's, for simple math, assuming that you have 4, 5, 6 years of experience and you're coming in and you want to charge about $70 per hour, which is right there in the median for that industry standard for freelance paralegals. Now, if you work, let's say you want a week off every single month. Now, obviously, you're going to take that week off probably in the summer or in, for Christmas or what have you. But let's just reserve 1 week per month for yourself to have time off and to be able to financially sustain that time off. You're charging $70 per hour. Now, to have a week off, we have to work 30 hours per week. So we work 30 hours per week for the month. That leaves us 10 hours times 4 is 40 hours. So we're reserving 40 hours a month as you're not going to be working. That's a full work week. So we're going to go $70 per hour times 30. That's $2,100 per week you'll be making. Now, you're only going to be working, and then you'll be working the 4 weeks. Obviously, you're only working 30 hours each week. So we're going to times that by 4. That's $88,400 monthly revenue. And let's times that by 12. We are at $100,800. So looking at that number and also knowing, okay, yeah, I don't get PTO. I don't get the paid holidays, those types of benefits. Some offices are offering unlimited PTO. I don't really totally understand it, why they're doing that, but it's there. You are giving yourself a week, 12 weeks off. You're giving yourself a week per month to not have to work, right? So there is where we are seeing freelance paralegals truly not only find that financial success of $100,000 a year salaries, we're also finding that they are able to take some ample vacation time, because at the end of the day, we are not going into business so that we can work more or that we can work harder. We are going into business so we can work smarter, aligning with the clients, the attorneys out there that are ready and willing to pay you your hourly rate that you need to make it a successful business. And then also finding that flexibility within it. I can tell you from personal experience, starting a freelance paralegal business was the best decision I could have made for my family. I have little kids. I have somebody in pre-K. I have one in 4th grade that were starting sports and volleyball and gymnastics and t-ball and all the things. I have to go pick them up. The bus doesn't drop them off here. All those things. Having my freelance paralegal business has allowed me to make a very solid income for my family while also being able to show up for them on the personal family side of things. So $100,000 for working 3 weeks a month. 3 weeks a month, 30 hours per week, right? Reserving that 10 hours, you're working for 4 weeks, but you're getting that 10 hours of vacation when you need it. So obviously some weeks you'll work that 40. So like I said, you can reserve time, when you want to take those vacations. So that's how we're looking at giving you that flexibility, that time freedom. Now, I also get the question of, and I'm just going to answer the elephant in the room. And guys, at any point in time, drop questions in the comments. I will definitely take time to answer them throughout this webinar. Now, the other thing that is a big conversation piece is the insurance. Personally, myself, we had some switcheroos with insurance and those types of situations, and I'm in the private market. Standard in Wisconsin is about $12,000 per year for private health insurance that is adequate for myself and my husband. Now, we're taking that $100,000 salary and we're in the private market for healthcare. We're taking, and mind you, I'll talk a little bit about how my business is buying that health insurance, which is also a write-off. So we're at the $100,000 and we're taking off $12,000 a year because now we need to buy our own benefits, our own healthcare, dental, what have you. And actually I found dental is surprisingly very affordable. is now we're at an $88,000 salary. Once you take off that health insurance, which depending on the structure of your business can be a write-off for your business, you're the employee of the business buys you healthcare. How many of you in here are able to make $88,000 per year while also working 30 hours per week, having all this time off and setting your own schedule? $88,000 if you have to take off some of that health insurance, to me sounds like a really phenomenal salary. But also as a freelance paralegal, you are able to diversify your revenue streams. And that's where I want to talk a little bit about how paralegals jump into freelancing and they start out. And I'm going to talk a little bit through how that looks if you're currently working full time and you're like, gosh, how do I get started? How do I merge from being an employee and going into this freelance space? We're going to talk about how you can do that. And also as you build this business out, the ways you can continue to scale. It's not just hitting that $100,000 salary. It's where can you scale beyond that to increase your income more and your flexibility more? How can you start earning money while you sleep, quote unquote? Obviously, we're not going to be totally sleeping when that happens, but that's the best way to describe it. Earn money while you're sleeping, while you're laying on the couch, while you're off vacationing with your family, while you're walking the dogs in the morning, having your cup of coffee. So as you build freelance paralegal businesses, let's talk a little bit because I'm seeing a lot of people in here are starting soon. They're interested in starting. They wanted to start. But let's talk about the employee to freelance journey and what that'll look like for you. Now, I do have a full video on my YouTube channel. If you just search Paralegal Freelance Lounge, you'll find it. It's how to merge from an employee to a freelance paralegal inch by inch. I know a lot of us in here cannot just overnight say, I'm going to up and quit. Yep, $100,000 sounds great, but Jacqueline, it's going to take time. I'm going to have to get clients. I'm going to have to get consistent clients coming through the door. How do I go from my current job right now to merging into that freelance space when I need the income to stay consistent throughout? That's where we talk about inch by inch. So you start out as an employee wanting to go into the freelance space, you might start offering project-based freelance work. Now, this is freelance work that you don't have to communicate with attorney clients. You don't have to contact courts or third parties or adjusters. The services you're wanting to offer are very heavily in the drafting space or in file organization, if you want to do some legal admin work, anything that would not require you to be available at 8 o'clock in the morning or noon or 1 or what have you to contact third parties or attorneys, clients in the law firm. You start offering those project-based work. Now that might be, I will draft a demand letter for you. You let me know and give me 48 hours to turn it around. You can draft this demand letter in a couple of hours in the evenings or on the weekends. And that happens. This can also be where we productize hourly services. So it might be as delegated, understanding that you can't have client communication, that you work at night and on the weekends, which I will tell you, a lot of attorneys, depending on their needs, they do not care when you are available or when you're working. As long as deadlines are met and the clear line of communication is there, that's fantastic. And you get to set the scope of your services from day one when you freelance. You don't have to try to be the chameleon that accommodates every attorney's preferences. You can start attracting with your particular services attorneys that are willing or able. It's like, it doesn't matter. You can work on the weekends, at night, on your lunch break, what have you. Maybe you're working 35 hours a week at your current job and you want to add 5 more hours in the freelance space. It does not matter, but you can then also productize your hourlies. So what that looks like is taking a package of hours, say 5 hours per week, or you want to go a package of a month, 20 hours per month, and you sell them as a product. You can buy these hours from me for the month. Now use them or lose them, which is very, very highly encouraged as you're doing hourly to keep attorneys consistently sending work, because they can be a little bit, you got to push them a little bit sometimes to get them to send you work. I see that all the time with attorneys and paralegals saying, God, I was retained. Everything's going well. They seem really happy, but they're not sending me work. And I'm like, why don't you just first of all reach out and let them know, hey, I haven't gotten work from you. And they're like, wow. I text them and they're like, oh my gosh, I have so much work for you. I just haven't had a chance to send it over. When you have those package hours and you say these expire within the month or within 2 months or however, again, it's your business. You get to set it how you want it to work for you. And they can't they know they're going to lose these hours. So they're like, okay, I got to get her work, right? That's how you keep that consistency going if you're offering the hourly packages. As well as, and in the past, truly, I used to say, it's okay. Don't force the hourly packages when you're inching over. But now I actually really, truly insist that if you're trying to inch your way over, you either offer very specific services such as drafting like a will package, drafting a demand letter, drafting a probate petition, doing a probate accounting, whatever your practice area is in. Feel free to ask me specifically to give you examples based on your practice area. If you drop it in the comments, I'll let you know. Whatever your practice area is, either do those productized services where you can charge a flat rate if I know my flow with a demand letter. If the attorney gives me everything I require them to give me before I start drafting, I know it's going to take me X amount of time. You can start packaging that up and create a flat fee rate. Or again, you can go and sell those hourly packages. You don't have to just take it here, take them there, and hope that you're going to find sustainability. Because as you're inching out of being an employee, those types of predictable packages and those services are going to be really, really useful for you to know when it's time to make an adjustment in your full-time job. So say you have 3 clients, each of them are purchasing, or you have 2 clients, each of them are purchasing 10 hours a week from you. Right now, it's sustainable, not ideal that you're working a full-time job and then 10 hours on the weekend or at night, which actually isn't horrible. You can space that out and you get that 3rd client and you have a really great, 6-month cancellation policy or a 3-month notice. I will say don't go too much higher than a 3-month with attorneys, just because we know law is unpredictable and their firms are also unpredictable. So you have those cancellation policies and you're like, okay, I got that 3rd client. Now it's time for me to maybe cut back to part-time work at my law firm and start having that work-life balance here, because you're getting into 30-hour weeks on top of your 40. That becomes unsustainable personally, and we want to be realistic with ourselves so that we stay on track. And then as you do that, continue to market, continue to start to notice, how often am I getting discovery calls on my calendar every month, and at what point in time is this going to be predictable enough for me to say, okay, I'm going all in. And also looking at your hourly rate. You might not need $100,000 annual salary right now. You might not need that. It might be ideal, but you might not need that. What do you really need to sustain? And watching your business get to that sustainable point for you specifically, because then once you're in, you can start really scaling and getting to that $100,000 and beyond. So again, I have a full video on my YouTube channel. It's merging from an employee to a freelance paralegal inch by inch. It's also on the podcast. So if you want to really listen me diving into that more and how to do that, how to teeter-totter it away, your way through it, definitely watch that or listen to that after this webinar or sometime. So that's where we're looking. So we just discussed everything about the autonomy, the flexibility, the financial success that you can experience as a freelance paralegal. Start playing with numbers, go into the USA directory. Even if you're not signed up yet, you can still see the listings. You can't look too deep into the listings, but you can browse. What are paralegals charging? We have an amazing range in the hundreds, and paralegals are offering consulting services on there, those types of things, because that's where I want to start talking about how you're going to take that income, that hourly income. And now we're going to look at scaling beyond ourselves. If that is something you want. Now you might say, nope, I don't ever want to scale beyond 100,000 after I tell you what that will take. I'm very comfortable with just getting here, and that's what I want to do. But if you want to not only scaling into the multiple 6 figures or getting to that $200,000 mark, but you want to just have more flexibility. You want your day in the life to look a little differently. You might be burnt out. You might be 20 years a paralegal, or 10 or 15, whatever. I mean, you might be 7 and you're getting burnt out on the paralegal work, but this is where you've dedicated your entire career, and you're not going to just switch industries overnight when you've taken all this time. Is that now we can look at scaling through different business models. So in my freelance paralegal roadmap course, we talk about 3 business models. It's the solo business model, the group model, and the agency model. So how that differentiates agency and group is as such. The agency model is like what I built over the last 4 years in my Dell Trust business, where we bring on paralegals to match specifically with our attorney clients. So our expertise lies in the staffing component of it. We have a specialty in matching freelance paralegals with attorneys. That's where the agency model will take you that route. Whereas the group team model is where you are on the back end managing a team of paralegals that are pumping out work. And I believe that I am very, very certain that the team model works the best when you're doing products in the form of a demand letter, a will package. I don't believe the team model works super hot, super well if you are offering as needed, as delegated by some hours, and our team will just pop in and we'll manage your caseload. As a team, it gets a little bit messy. And I tried to do that early on in my business because I really wanted to go the team model route. And I sort of was forced into the agency because I was like, this is insane. I did not sign up for working 80-hour weeks trying to manage paralegals and have them bring them up to speed on cases. And so obviously I went through all the business models that I teach in the roadmap course, but that's where you start to scale. So for instance, we could have our billables going out at 700 hours for the month. And say we're charging $60 per hour for those. So that's a $42,000 monthly revenue in our agency. Now, say we maintain a profit margin of 50%. I'm just going to throw 50% so I can divide this in half and make it easy. Divide it in half. That's $21,000 for the month of profit before we're taking off some software fees, things like that, which can be very, very manageable, to be honest, in the agency route. So now we have $21,000 profit. We times that by 12, and we're looking at a $252,000 annual salary. Now, obviously, we want to keep some in the business. We want to keep it for cash flow purposes, for slow seasons, what have you. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but just looking at that after our top line expenses of the cost of goods sold, which would be the paralegal you're bringing into the agency to be able to work with your clients, the cost of goods sold, now we're looking at a $252,000 annual before we take off some of our costs of our website, our timekeeping systems, those types of things. When can we purchase the roadmap course again? It will be available on April 8th. It actually is going to be, I'm launching it on when I do my freelance paralegal marketing mastermind. And I will talk a little bit about that at the end, about what I recommend if you're interested in doing the roadmap course, and actually recommending that you take that marketing mastermind option as well, because I'll tell you what I'm about to do with those two courses come quarter 3. Okay, so thank you. Great question. So as we guide you through this journey, I talked about $252,000. That's in the agency route. Now, what that looks like from a team model and how you can scale the team model is what I've seen done. So let's use an estate planning company. For example, they bust out will packages and ancillary documents. Say they charge $300 for the will, the power of attorney, the healthcare directive, like all those ancillaries that go with it. And I'm just throwing a number out there. I'm pretty out of touch, actually, how much time it takes to draft will packages anymore. And honestly, I only did like 3 of them as a paralegal myself, which, funny enough, we have a ton of estate planning clients in our agency. Okay, so we're taking a $250. And again, I'm just using an example. Now, the people in your back team, you might have a client services coordinator that works to gather all the documents and everything they need from that client to create a successful process. We have to have all these things in place in order to draft a will package properly. We are not going back into the client's file and trying to find all this information. This is the sheet we need, and this is your design sheet. We know how to do it. Maybe you use a drafting software like Wealth Counsel. I actually just finally had an attorney tell me demystify the Wealth Counsel, Elder Docs, and all those things. So say you're using a drafting software as such. Now you have your drafter that you've hired, very experienced freelance paralegal that drafts, or estate planning paralegal, that drafts these packages. Now, it's really great because you can offer that person to start merging out of their full-time job by saying, okay, we have a 48-hour turnaround time. If you want to draft these at night, go ahead. You're either paying them a flat fee for each package, or you're paying them an hourly rate. Say the hourly rate is $30 per hour, and it takes them a little over an hour and a half to make the documents, what have you. And then that goes down to a proofreader, that proofreader might be a little less paid than the drafter. But it's just that final, let's just make checks, make sure names are correct and everything, the signature lines are correct, and we're giving back a very attentive to detail product back to the attorney. And then the client service coordinator sends it back down to that attorney, and the attorney is able to review it. Maybe you offer a batch of edits and no charge if it's a typo on your end. But otherwise, if they want to make edits to the plan, it's an extra $50, what have you, however you want to structure it. And at the end of it, you have about, say, $100 in costs. That's less than 50%. So, or that's more than a 50% profit margin for that package. Now you start busting these out and you're getting an order of 40 a month, or that's a $10,000 month, or you're getting orders of beyond, and you're diversifying your revenue streams. Maybe you also start creating courses for your estate planning team. And I'm not trying to overwhelm you guys. I just want to get you excited about what's all to be possible out here, and to take a brief moment and remind you, everything I'm saying is not hypothetical. Actually, the example I just gave you is a client. We worked with a paralegal services company that did this exact model of business and is very, very successful. Everything I'm explaining to you is real time examples. It's not hypothetical. Okay. Not selling a pipe dream here. This is all very possible, and paralegals beyond myself are doing this every single day and making great money. So that's the team model. So you can see how now, in both of these models, you might merge into the agency as the staffing specialist. You might be doing all the recruiting in the beginning like I did. Now I have an amazing legal recruiter that does all of our recruiting, and we, obviously consult and work together on candidates and reviewing. But I am in a true CEO capacity, as well as I would say, the chief of marketing officer. I have a very hard time giving up my marketing. But that's where you're going to merge into different roles within your business. You're no longer just the freelance paralegal that's offering the services direct, and I'm doing the services and this is my hourly rate. You're now creating revenue stream, and it's not necessarily a passive way yet, because it still requires you to manage this company, but your day in the life is looking a lot different. You're operating from a CEO seat. And that's where paralegals, you can absolutely scale the solo model to beyond that $100,000 mark. Now, you do so in gaining high value clients, creating a really solid name for yourself. You can start charging in the 90s and the hundreds, and having really specific clients that know, like, trust you, and have to use your services as you build that reputation, and you're able to scale into working with the people you want to work with, the amount of time you want to work, at the rate you deserve. And that's where, as the solo model, you could start charging $100 for services as you build a really solid client list. And you're like, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm going to reach out to a few clients and say, hey, I want to work exclusively with you, and I'm going to increase my prices. I hope we could still work together. You maybe do that incrementally. Don't overnight increase it by 50%. That will be a shock to them, and also insulting. I made that mistake once where I overly increased my prices overnight, and I had some. I'm going to answer that question in a minute. So you're charging $100 an hour, and say now you only want to work 20 hours a week. Now you're making $2,000 a month or a week times 4. You have plenty of time for vacations. You're doing that 12 months out of the year. You're making $96,000 by working 20 hours a week. Or you want to keep working 30 hours a week. You're charging $100 per hour. And that's a $3,000 a week. You are still having ample time off, $12,000 a month. You're making $144,000 working 30-hour weeks. This is so possible, guys. Like, this is so very possible. If you have ever believed anything I've ever said, I am, again, these are not hypotheticals. This is true. Go look at the Freelance Paralegals USA, see the rates out there, see what the industry standard is becoming. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I want to see, did I give myself, I did give myself an hour here. Fantastic. I'm like, crap, did I give myself only a half of an hour? This is perfect. Now we're getting into talking about the demands of the industry. Now, if you're a freelance paralegal in here and you already are freelancing full-time, part-time, you have clients, what have you, This is really valuable information. And I always say that the best thing you can do for your business as you build authority in the industry, as you market your business, is to understand the demands in the industry intimately and where attorneys are needing support. And I don't want to sound like a broken record. I always talk about this. I just talked about this at the Freelance Paralegals USA founders launch last week, but I want to reiterate it here because I know the feelings. Personally know the feelings when you're thinking about getting into the freelance space and you're like, I can't fathom getting one client, let alone enough to keep me busy 30 hours a week. Like, there cannot be that many attorneys out there that need services. And if there are, they're already snatched up by other freelancers. That went through my mind, and what held me back from 2018 when I was subcontracting at a subcontractor rate, $15 an hour, $12 an hour, $20 an hour, which was fine. I live in a very rural area. I mean, not fine now. Obviously, that was circa 2018 before the economy completely crashed. But that's what held me back for those 2 years to say, like, I want to go out on my own and I want to start charging my rates. Is I was just like, I can't get a client. There's no attorneys out there. Like, there's not enough attorneys out there needing my services. If I throw spaghetti at a wall, is it going to stick? And it wasn't until I really started getting intimate into my clients as a subcontractor and having more, and when I say intimate, I mean professionally intimate into their businesses and what was going on, and listening more and talking and just having these random coffee chats with them that truly I actually didn't even charge them for. When we would just kind of go off rabbit holes, I would actually stop my clock because we were just talking and I was learning so much about their unique struggles. And the key to understanding business is making it so very simple and knowing that if there is a problem out there and you have a solution for it, that is a business. Now, I'm not saying every business out there is that way. For instance, I saw on Shark Tank the other day, people will mail a potato with a funny face on it to your loved one or to a friend as a joke, and you pay us to do it. And they made like a multi-million-dollar business doing that. Like, I guess they're solving a need for entertainment and laughter. And I think they started it in the pandemic when everybody was home. So they're helping create connections. So somewhere deep down in there is still that problem they're solving, a need for connecting, a need for reaching out to your loved ones, or again, staying connected. And they created a solution. It was their solution. It's not the end all be all solution, but it was their solution. When we're looking in the service industry, we are a B2B, which is a business to business model. We are a business and we are servicing businesses, law firms, right? They are a business and we are a business. We are no longer employee to employer, and you have to remove yourself immediately from that mentality once you jump into freelancing. We are business. This is business. When you have a problem and a solution, a business is born. The problem in the industry is so incredibly strong and real for attorneys trying to scale their practices. I don't care if they're brand new, coming in as a solo attorney. I just left my law firm. I want to start my own practice. I don't care if I've been a solo for 5 years, or now I'm bringing on my first associate, or now I have a partner in the firm, or now I'm medium sized, or now I'm big and I'm huge and I'm nationwide. There's always still a problem of staffing. And where you saw that episode on Shark Tank, I know it's working for them. Good for them. That's amazing, right? Potatoes. So once you have understood that there is such an issue with staffing, we can then break down what issues. There's multiple, right? Access to qualified paralegals. That would be an issue in my area. Like when I applied for the real estate position, paralegal position here in my local town, she had told me she had never in her 10 years of practice seen a paralegal apply with actual paralegal experience, right? So that's a really big need in the rural space. Now, when we get into the big shark space, we're going down to the metro cities, major cities. The issue is that there's a ton of experience there, but they're getting swiped up by bigger firms that are able to create better packages. They're able to offer those huge benefits, the unlimited PTO, the salary in the $100,000 range. And you think, a question might come up, well, if that attorney can't afford an employee at the $100,000 mark, how could they afford me at my $70, $80 an hour rate, $65 even? The difference is the payroll costs that come on top of it. Now here, that's one thing. And don't go crazy in doing calculations yet, because it goes beyond that. And true business owners as attorneys will understand this if they're actually trying to function their office like a business, not just a law practice. It goes beyond the payroll, right? We have the payroll costs, obviously. That can be an incredible burden on companies. Quarterly payroll taxes. There can be an issue with obviously the PTO and the healthcare, and not, I can't also pay for healthcare on top of the salary of $100,000 like the big sharks down there are doing. And they're getting the amazing experience and the lateral hires, the ones that know exactly what they're doing when they come into the job and need no training. So this is the biggest one. Write this down, because I promise you this is going to be your biggest selling point as you start freelancing. It's handling the staffing need between we're here and we're here, right? We're at this point and we're trying to get to this point, but we're landing in the middle of our staffing needs. And what ends up happening is that attorney has to make up that struggle, that extra overload work where they can't quite yet justify a full-time hire. It would be insane for them to bring in a full-time hire and them only work. I only need 20 hours a week. I only need 10 extra hours a week. So I don't, we talk about mental health in the attorney space all the time. It's awful what they go through in trying to maintain those growth phases. It's the growth phases where you have incredible demand in this industry for freelance paralegals, because they cannot afford to hire a full-time paralegal just to take on 10 hours of work. But in the meantime, they're overloading their paralegal in-house. They are overloading themselves. They're losing employees as a result, because that employee feels overburdened, understimulated, handling too much for each case. They need admin support. Or they hired an admin and now they're like, hey, if you go look on my TikTok, that one, like, congratulations, you have been promoted, that one, where they're not ready to take on paralegal work and they throw it at them. And then you see comments all over these great paralegal groups, saying, I feel like a failure. I suck at my job. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And then they're losing that paralegal. They have a need in the middle, and that will always be true, whether they're just starting out, whether they're scaling to their first associate, whether they're scaling to their first partner, whether they're scaling to becoming a mid-sized firm, a small firm, a mid-sized firm, a large firm. There's always going to be that in-between phase, as long as they're focusing on growing their business, increasing client acquisition, increasing their top line revenues streams. And you come in to support that bottom line. You come in to support that as they're growing that top line, their bottom line is growing with it. Their bottom line is going up with it, not down. Because it's no good for an attorney, for a business owner, to drive in more revenue stream, a higher revenue stream, but see that bottom line decrease. That's not good. Now, it might increase slower than the top line because costs come into play. Maybe the marketing costs, to get those clients were a little bit more. They have to see that go up. And when they don't, that's when businesses really, really struggle. That's when businesses start the path of failure, truly, as they lose that bottom line, or as that bottom line is not going up, or in the worst, going down. So freelance paralegals come in for that specific need as it relates to the demand in this industry to help them scale and grow through their businesses. Now, you might think, well, once I get them to that next growth phase, then they have no need for me. And how do I keep this client? We know client retention is so huge for businesses. It's how we really start making good money with our clients that we keep. And the reality is, though, once they get there, they still need to get there. They still need to keep growing. They're trying to grow their firm. Or maybe they find that they plateaued right here. A lot of attorneys will find that they plateau at this growth phase, at this revenue stream. We're at the $500,000 marker. We plateaued at the $100 million annual revenue mark. And you're there to keep helping them stabilize there as they continue to try to grow, and so that they keep putting in their efforts to grow. Let me know if that didn't make any sense, or you're like, why am I talking about this in a Discovering Your Path? Because it's really important for you to understand the demands of this industry as you go in. Now, also the demands of the industry, solo attorneys that are especially just starting out, like, they need experience. They need paralegals that can almost tell them what to do, or help them, or handhold them, or they might need some admin offload. Some of my biggest clients started out as my smallest clients that just took on admin support. 10 hours a month, 5 hours here and there. Like they just needed the admin support, but they were then able to grow their business as a result for not being bogged down by that admin work. And now we are merging into some solid paralegal support. Having the access to the skills. Attorneys, you have to think about it when they're in this place of a staffing shortage and they don't have anybody in their firm dedicated to training and development. Okay, now they can't find somebody already trained. They can't afford somebody already experienced. They need to develop that person. Their billable hour, $300 per hour is that's a conservative number, I would think. $300 per hour to spend 8 hours, 10 hours a week training a paralegal is really, really extreme. But a lot of them feel they're the only ones that can train, that can develop, right? And we're just talking 10 hours a week for that attorney to sit down and go through things and train. So they're really needing somebody to come in, that's $3,000 a week. On top of that person, you're also paying that person to train them when you bring them in. So the experience shortage or the competitive market that is out there. And that's why truly, I'm not trying to create a new topic here, but that's where the staffing struggle is really happening on both ends, where paralegals are like, I can't believe attorneys are having a hard time finding paralegals. I'm applying to so many jobs and I don't even get that interview. It's because they're right there. It's either they you might not be experienced enough and they're like, I don't have the budget to train, or they're competing, they're just in this in between, and it's not aligning with what is in the market right now. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about as you jump into this demanded industry of needing freelance paralegals and how it's growing. And actually, even the paralegal career is expected to grow in demand, I think twice the rate of attorneys. Paralegals we're making our mark. Finally, it's happening. They're realizing how valuable paralegals are, which is just incredible. The freelance paralegal market demand is also increasing with that. So there's a demand here. Now, what's going to make you successful? Okay, I'm telling you there's clients out there. I'm telling you there are attorneys out there that want to hire freelance paralegals. Now, what's going to make you successful? First of all, you need to be visible. And as you build your business, it's not enough to just put that you're a freelancer on LinkedIn and hope somebody stumbles across your profile. What makes you successful and jumping down into these, assessing your unique skills and your interests and analyze how you can transfer those skills into your business and creating success around it is creating a niche authority. So when I first started as a paralegal freelancing, this is what was really hard for me personally, because I was the jack of all trades, master of none. I had 5 years of general litigation experience. I would say my strong suits were definitely like criminal trial litigation, all things litigation. I really love like property disputes. Personal injury was sort of a forte of mine. That's why I talk about personal injury a lot. But I also did family law and I did estate planning and I loved probate too. I was the geek that geeked out on probate. And I did do a couple will packages, and I have done real estate and transferring deeds and registering and doing all the things and drafting out legal descriptions and all those things. I also did, and I think I mentioned family law. I did a little bit of estate planning. I dabbled in actually civil rights once. I've done appeals. I've done employment law. I've done, all the different, I love probate also. I feel it. Probate geeks. See, if you know, you know. You just have to be a little bit geeky about it to love probate. Especially if you're in a state that requires like meticulous accountings, like my Minnesota state did. So I did all the things. And I'm like, I remember I would take a notepad, actually a big notebook, and I'd sit and I'd write all the things. Okay, let's like dissect family law. I could offer petitions. I could offer this. I could offer that. I could offer this. And then I said, okay, let's look at criminal law. I could offer, Rule 9 discovery demands. I could do DUIs. I could do this. I could do that. I could help trial prep. No, I could create trial binders. And I went all over the place. And that shut me down really quickly because I'm like, I don't feel like an expert in all of these industries. How am I going to go out there and market to attorneys when they're an expert in their practice area, or should be, right? I mean, I know not all, don't come after me. I know not all of them. A lot of them we have to train to. how am I going to market? How am I going to show to an attorney out there that I'm an expert in anything? Which I kept piecemealing different freelancer websites and people coaching how to build virtual assistant agencies or businesses or what have you. Nothing was geared towards legal. So there was always that lingering question of, we're not marketing to the general public. We're not marketing to the real estate agent up the street. We're not marketing to the casual dentist down the road that needs help with social media. We are marketing to a very, I've got to tiptoe about how I say this. Attorneys are very proud and very, I don't want to say ego because that's not what I'm trying to say. Somebody help me out. What am I trying to say here? Attorneys are very, they know they have a lot of intelligence. They are very smart, right? Most of them. Well, they should be. They are very intelligent. They are very proud of getting through law school, of having that practice. And they hold that so near and dear to their heart. It's hard to tell them, hey, look at me as the expert that can teach you how to be a better criminal attorney. And so that really intimidated me. You pair my unfocused experience on top of my too much and not knowing, and my fear of imposter syndrome, mainly to go and market to these attorneys. I'm like, how will I ever be successful? It's what I should have done, truly. And I'll tell you what I ended up doing. What I should have done is focused in my services on my strong suits, which would have been civil litigation and criminal litigation, right? Criminal defense, trial, all the things. But I could have done, I really could have focused in my niche areas. But I just didn't know how, because I was so scared that if I didn't offer everything, I'm lowering my chances of getting clients. I felt like, well, the more, if I can access the family market, the family law market, if I can access the estate planning market, if I can access this market, I can figure it out. I'm that kind of paralegal. I'm solution-based. I will get there. I will do great work. And just if they give me a chance, they'll see that. And I wanted to broaden to everybody. And what happens when you try to reach everybody is you sometimes reach nobody as a result, because you're not establishing who you're here to serve. And so talking about what will make you successful, and this is why I pound this topic so very hard in my roadmap course, is setting that ideal client and deciding uniquely who you are here to serve. Because as you do that, you start marketing your services in that state of authority. You're not necessarily focusing on the hard skills, the hard set skills in your marketing, but you're targeting your industry and the unique problems that industry experiences. And then you talk about how you become the solution. So we don't have to go write an article, putting it this simple. Let me give you an example. We don't have to go write an article on the best legal, let me think, to say like, this is the best way to write a memorandum of law. We don't have to write that. But you might talk about this as a way to streamline your criminal case from conception to completion, shaving off X amount of time. You see where I'm making that shift in saying we're not necessarily going out there to tell attorneys we know more than you, we can do your practice better than you can. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to teach them, to support them. We are not the hero, and we don't want the attorneys to look at us as the hero to their law practice. We want to teach the attorneys to learn that we are helping them become the hero in their story. And that came from Story Brand. Great, great book. We want to teach them that they are the heroes. We want to help them become the heroes in their own story. So we're showing them how we're going to get them there. And how our expertise, we are the goose to their maverick. We are going to navigate them through so they can be the hero. We're not trying to show them that, hey, I know more than you. I'm the hero here. Hire me. I can come and just make your life amazing. I'm here to support you. One of my attorneys said to me, you don't work for me, you work with me. I love, that just gave me chills. It's so amazing to see attorneys respecting paralegals. I love it. I love it. It's amazing. Right. We work together. But truly at the end of the day, that is the paralegal's profession, is we are here to help streamline cases, help take them from conception to completion. And we know, and those great attorneys out there know, the capacity that we can operate better than a junior associate. We can operate almost to a senior associate level. Sometimes we're doing partner level work, right? That's how I was in my firm. I drafted those memorandums. I drafted the briefs to go with I drafted the complex motions. I submitted a motion to a federal district court that I never worked in prior with a baby attorney that just opened his practice, and he had no idea what he wanted to do or was going to do. He had no idea how to take a criminal motion for compassionate release to federal district court and no idea how to do any of that. I did it for him. We know what paralegals are capable of doing, but for the purposes of marketing and drawing in, you have to figure out who your ideal client is, get so intimate to their problems, and come in and talk about how you're going to solve those problems. The rest is just extra support, right? So you have your CV, you have your writing samples, you have your resume, you have your social proof that you are experienced and you know what you're doing, but you need to be drawing them into your space because you're coming into theirs to create their hero story. And truly, that is how you become successful in the content marketing space. Now, I'm going to say this for the end, in the content marketing space, and why I focus so heavily on content marketing in the roadmap course. It's the only form of marketing I truly, truly dissect, is because content marketing pays you year over year. I still continue to have attorneys. For instance, just last week, we had, I think I had like 4 sales call-outs last week, and 3 of those had found me from a blog I wrote in 2021. They Googled something, they searched something, whether on LinkedIn, Google, what have you, and it popped up. And it continues to, content will pay you back over and over again, but it's about what type of content you're putting out there. It has to be authority building, and it has to be drawing your ideal client in. If we try to market to everybody out there, chances are nobody's going to hear it. It's like you're trying to sell a curling iron. I always use this example, a curling iron to people with no hair. Right? If you're not focusing specifically on who you're trying to sell to, because you don't want to exclude, people that have super short hair, and you're trying to sell this big barreled curling iron, but you don't want to exclude them. So you talk to them too. You're not really talking to the people with the long hair, right? It's a horrible example, but it's the only one that I can come up with on the fly. Okay, so I want to open it up for questions right now. While I'm waiting for questions to come in, I've had some pop in about the Freelance Paralegal Roadmap course. On April 8th, it will be opening. What also is happening on April 8th is my Freelance Paralegal Marketing Mastermind. Right now, I have it in an introductory of $29.99. There are limited seats. The reason I'm doing these 2 at the same time is because come Q3, and I keep looking up, I have a giant calendar here. It keeps me organized a whole year at a glance. It's amazing. Come Q3, I will likely be merging my Freelance Paralegal Marketing Mastermind with the Roadmap course. I'm not totally set on that yet, but I will likely be merging them together or somehow selling that with the Roadmap course. So even if you haven't started yet and you plan to take my Freelance Paralegal Roadmap course, you might also want to grab that marketing because you'll have it forever. You can come take it. Not everything will be you'll be ready for implementation yet. After you take that roadmap course, you'll definitely be ready to implement everything you learned in the marketing mastermind. So it's basically what I'm saying is this is a brand new course. I have an introductory of $29.99. So if you want to go grab it, grab it. Where am I located? I'm in Ogama, Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, very north central Wisconsin. We just had 12 inches of snow, a foot of snow after a winter of no snow. It was insane. And now it's downpour raining. It's been fun. We head to Florida. Oh, sorry. You were asking somebody else where you're located. Well, whatever. I answered it too. Okay. So the marketing mastermind, I'm going to drop it in the comments here. If you go to freelanceparalegals.com, you can grab it. If you can't attend the live session, you'll be getting a recording. Every attendee is going to get the recording, so you'll have that course forever. Let me put it in here too. All right. Another thing you guys should really I suggest you doing, if you haven't yet, is go check out Freelance Paralegals USA. You can visit freelanceparalegals.com. And I'm sorry, guys, every time I comment when I'm actually live, it looked on my end that I commented 15 times. I didn't, I swear. I just did it once. Freelance Paralegals is a directory for you to be able to list your freelance services. We have a founder's fee pricing model right now of $9.99 to make your listings. You have to make a listing to be able to pop up in the search results. Obviously, you can sign up for your profile and create a profile, but then once you go to do that listing, it'll prompt for payment. Perfect, Cam. You'll get that. The roadmap will be open. Actually, I'll be announcing it for the first time at that mastermind, so you'll be able to grab it. What was I saying? Freelance Paralegals USA. So a lot of you in here haven't started yet. You want to start. That is also a way to start. Let's back up right to the front of this webinar where I talked about inching over inch by inch. You don't have to go all in or not all in. I do highly recommend you go all in as it relates to building the business structure and taking it seriously. But you can go and list your services, I have packages of hours, or you can create different listings. You might want to just do drafting of documents, and you can create an unlimited amount of listings so that you show up in different practice areas. I highly encourage that you keep each listing specific or as very focused as possible to the practice area or the theme of the practice. For instance, if you're offering all these services, estate planning with probate, they go kind of hand in hand. Anything trust administration with planning. Definitely go check it out. Think about getting yourself listed in there to start attracting clients. We are right now in the founder's fee phase. So it's $9.99 for the users. Now, until we are now starting to, we've already had attorneys that have been in our sales cycle knowing about freelance paralegals coming up. We're getting a lot of attorneys now messaging us. I don't see a paralegal. One of our biggest searches this last week was IP and trademarks. I've had a couple of those attorneys come in and say, hey, I haven't found a paralegal in there. I've had a couple of attorneys say I haven't found anybody in personal injury or what have you for my state. So attorneys are getting in there and they're trying to find, but we haven't quite filled up that listing user base quite yet. So what we're doing currently is as we get a higher volume of practice areas in individual and monitoring that, we will do direct marketing to those attorneys that have already entered our space and said, I'm an estate planning attorney. We will start sectioning traffic there, but it's already going in there both organically based on, well, I shouldn't say organically, all the prep work we have done of getting our attorneys ready and excited. I hope there are some for bankruptcy. Yes, I have, you can list bankruptcy in there, practice areas, and I take recommendations from ICANN at any point. That is one thing I don't have to ask my developers to do. I can go in and add different categories at any time. So if you don't see your practice area there, I was pretty robust. I have like alcohol but when a paralegal pointed out I didn't put marijuana in there. So I put marijuana in there for them. Or if you want me to do something very specific, like personal finance, I added in there. But it's pretty much has every practice area. Yes, it is $9.99 a month. That's unlimited listings. So you could make 30 listings in there for $9.99 a month. It is a founder's fee right now, which you will be locked into for life as my thank you for being the founding base of this directory. Okay. Any other questions? Wow. I have never ended a webinar on time. There is a first. There is a first for everything. All right. Also, if you guys, you're not quite ready, you're like, okay, this was really informative, but I have to take my time and figure out really what I want to do in my path. I highly, highly encourage that you go check out my podcast if you haven't already. Go binge watch some of my YouTube channels. Follow me on TikTok. I'm constantly just dropping random information in there, and just start learning more about me. About what I can offer you and how I can help you navigate. And in the process, you're going to be learning about what this freelance space is all about and building successful businesses. I have a ton of free resources as well. My courses are not the only thing that I offer out. I have tons of free resources. Also have a free 12-step guide starter kit that includes my hour-long training on how to start a freelance paralegal business for free. You can visit jackandfoster.com or any of these links, freelance marketing, paralegal marketing, you can navigate back to more resources. When you work in different practice areas, do you have your own software for document preparation or do the attorneys give you access? Great, fantastic question. Sorry, you're gonna see my dog. I actually, typically my attorneys, we are on hourlies and as needed as delegated services for the most part. Sometimes they'll be drafting estate plans and that's all they do, but really it's as delegated. It's not a productized business where it's productized in the hour packages. So to answer your question, usually those paralegals are jumping into the attorney softwares for the only reason that it is very chaotic to try to get an attorney to delegate work in an as needed capacity, as delegated, work on this motion this week, work on that. It's a variety of work you're doing. It's hard for them to utilize a new system when they're already, they're using Clio, they're using MyCase, they're using Practice Panther or Smokeball or whatever case management system they have. So typically my paralegals are signing up with they have an email address with the firm. They're getting access to the software so that the attorney can easily push work down to them and they can access the files that they need to make delegation really, really seamless and collaboration seamless. Usually when team models that are drafting specifically, they are not accessing anybody's softwares for reasons of efficiency. They are creating a system such as, okay, let's use the estate planning, wealth counsel drafting. They have their own wealth counsel drafting software, but that is the only thing they will draft through for any of their clients. They're not taking the clients, okay, I like this template, I like that template. They create a design sheet and the client services coordinator does what they have to do in the wealth counsel, whatever account for each individual or attorney, or I don't know how exactly it works. I've never drafted through wealth counsel. But then the attorney has to follow their system of processes to get that order placed. So nobody's going into the attorney's systems. The attorney is submitting each thing they need drafted. Here's our form. This is what we need to know. XYZ names, this, and this. List it out for us so we can just draft the document. I hope that was helpful. Good. This webinar was incredibly helpful. So glad I found this group. I'm so glad you found the group too. What's your TikTok? Oh my gosh, I screwed up my TikTok so bad and now I can't change it. I missed the E in freelance. So it's freelance without an E, paralegal. I will drop it in here. Once I'm off of here, I'll send you the link to my TikTok until I can get it fixed back to my correct username. I just followed you. Nessa Mayfield. I don't know. IG is Miss Paralegal. Wonderful. You're very welcome. I'm glad you found it useful and helpful. And if you guys have any more questions, I highly recommend, if you have any more questions, comment them. If you're watching the replay, comment them. I will answer them individually. Maybe I'll answer them with a video. You might inspire my next TikTok video. If you want to join me on April 8th for that marketing mastermind, again, even if you're not ready, but like, hey, I'm going to get that roadmap course, but I also want that mastermind. The mastermind on marketing is very in-depth. You'll be getting a Excel spreadsheet and how I organize my marketing every single week, as well as keeping track of my podcasting, my guest appearances, my webinars, who am I pitching, what events am I attending, all of those things to keep myself on track. We're going to dissect content marketing. I'm going to go through a little bit of Chat, GPT, and AI and how I leverage it, not for paralegal work, because that's not my zone of genius, but leveraging Chat GPT to help me as a marketing assistant. And there's a right way to use it so it actually works for you, not against you, making you look scripty and like an AI wrote this. Teaching you how. Link for replay. As soon as I hop off here, it'll be on the Facebook. We're also going, and LinkedIn, but I see you're on Facebook. We're also going to go through an automated direct outreach process where you put it on autopilot. You have a very targeted, I'm going to show you how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, as well as my automated process to do direct outreach for attorneys. We created a ton. I